Hello, Classic Crew, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about how to do self-care right. I don't know about you, but in the past few years, I feel like the term self-care has become a huge part of the vernacular, has become something that everybody wants to talk about. And here's the thing. I'm not against the idea of self-care. I'm against the idea of what self-care has now come to mean. In the same way that I'm against the idea of female empowerment meaning something that I totally disagree with. Do I think that the words female and empowerment can go together? Absolutely. Do I agree with how they're used nowadays? Not so much. The same definitely goes for the two words self and care. But self-care nowadays does not really mean what it says. In today's day and age, when you use the term self-care, it evokes an image of a woman who is kind of neglecting any of the other things that need to happen. She says, everyone needs to be put on hold. I need to deal with myself right now. I'm gonna have my glass of wine and watch my TV show and take a bath and take care of myself. That isn't really self-care. Self-care should be preventative. Self-care should be something that all women engage in to make sure that we don't get to the point where we're so overwhelmed that we have to take a night of self-care. This is something that I think is really important. If you take care of yourself regularly, then you won't need nights off for self-care. Now, is that always true? No, of course there are certain days that we have that are just crazy, and at the end of it you want to just chill out and relax. But making the idea of this kind of self-care a really frequent thing, instead of dealing with the stuff that could actually keep you feeling calm and collected and more ready to take on the day, is to the detriment of women everywhere. Because what really ends up happening is that you don't deal with underlying issues. You just kind of stick a Band-Aid on a gaping wound by drinking a little bit of wine and watching a stupid TV show and taking a night of self-care instead of taking care of yourself regularly. Self-care should mean taking care of yourself and really taking the time to figure out how you're going to be able to handle everyday life. Instead, it has come to mean restorative care, this idea that I need to take care of myself after the fact. You don't want to let things snowball out of control until the point where you are so overwhelmed that you do need to take a night of self-care. The fact of the matter is that this idea of self-care doesn't ever really work. It doesn't encourage young women to actually take care of themselves regularly. Instead, it just says, when you're feeling upset or overwhelmed, instead of dealing with the root of the problem, just kind of take a day off and indulge. Now, of course, as I mentioned, it's not to say that there aren't going to be times when we're overwhelmed, where the day just got the best of us and we want to take a night to de-stress. That happens to all of us, so that's not a terrible thing. But it shouldn't be that we generally are moving through life expecting to be overwhelmed and then dealing with that kind of feeling of being in a chaotic situation by then taking a night off for self-care and just ignoring any other responsibilities. So in this video, I think I want to delineate the idea of self-care from taking care of yourself. I want to say that taking care of yourself is what we should be aiming for, and self-care is the bad version of that, where you're not really dealing with what you need to deal with to be able to take on the world. I am such a huge proponent of really taking care of yourself and taking time for you and being able to handle everything that comes your way by being aware of those things that make life too hard or too difficult and preparing yourself, as opposed to just letting everything come at you all at once and feeling super stressed about it and then just taking the night off to recover. So today I want to share with you 5 tips that I have for real self-care, for taking care of yourself. So let's get into it. Number 1 is to make time for yourself each and every day. Now, I know so many of us are so busy. We've got work, we have kids, we have school. There's a million things that we have to do every single day that it feels crazy to even ask for just 10 minutes for yourself. But if you think about it, 10 minutes is really not that long. So if you can work into your schedule 10 minutes every day that is just for you, it will make a huge difference to your mental health. If that means waking up a little bit earlier before everyone else in the house wakes up and making a little cup of coffee or tea and reading a book or doing something that calms you, reading the newspaper, whatever it is, that is a perfect way to take those 10 minutes and make it feel like your day is for you. It also doesn't have to be 10 minutes. If you can have a little bit more time, that's great too. If that means going to the gym and having just a little bit of alone time, or eating your lunch and reading while you eat, or reading a book, just taking a few minutes and spending some time alone. Making sure you get that time each day where you don't have to worry about anyone else is super important. Again, I'm not saying it's easy to work that in when you do have a hectic life, but I really think that taking those 10 minutes is going to be worth it because it really is. It's overwhelming and it can really make you feel out of control when you don't have a second to just calm your mind and rest for a second and remind yourself that you are a person outside of your responsibilities. And so taking that little bit of time each day will prevent you from having to take 4 hours on a Sunday night. Again, it's not terrible to do that once in a while, but you won't have to do it. You know what I'm saying? Number 2 is get into a routine. Being without a routine is the first thing that will make you feel out of control and chaotic and make you feel like you need a night for self-care. Give yourself the blessing of a routine. I am telling you, it is such a huge game changer to have a little bit of structure in your day. Even if it's just the first 3 things of your day, just having that structure will make you feel calmer because otherwise you're dealing with things as they get thrown at you. And that can be overwhelming for even the most calm person. If you're somebody who has anxiety or deals with stress, then giving yourself the kindness of saying, okay, I have a delineated time or a delineated schedule, it just makes all the difference in the world. So for me right now, I just have a little routine in the morning where I wake up, make myself coffee, immediately go to the gym, and then come home and start work. And that little routine in the morning sets me on the right foot for the rest of the day. Now, if that routine gets a little bit screwy-looey, I am a mess. I have a very hard time getting on track for the rest of the day. And then I feel like I'm stressed to get everything done. And that's when things can snowball. If you stick to that routine, you will feel so much better, just generally overall. And you won't feel this need to kind of recover from your day. Something I think is so important is the idea of decision fatigue, and that can come when you don't have a routine. So decision fatigue, the idea of that is that you only kind of have a limited number of decisions you can make over the course of a day. Your brain just kind of gets tired of it and it's just really difficult. Like when you're unpacking, that's a really hard thing, right? Because you're constantly having to make little decisions about where things are going, and by the end of the day, you're just exhausted. If you are somebody who has a routine, you're not going to have to make those little decisions about what do I do now? What do I do here? What do I do then? Because it's already lined up for you. And then you have more mental brain space to make those decisions that may come on the fly, that you will have to make for work or for childcare or for whatever else it is. Number 3 is to take a bath or a luxurious shower at least once a week. So I know some people aren't big fans of baths. I am obsessed with taking baths. I absolutely love taking baths. So I am always a proponent. But if you're somebody who's kind of not a fan of taking a bath, then I also included just taking a long shower. I think taking a bath or taking a shower is so important because it really allows your body to relax. So we've been talking a lot about things you can do for your mental health, but your body also benefits from just letting hot water soak it and relax those muscles. And also that is another part of a mental break, is that's time that really nobody can interrupt you. If you're in the bath or you're in the shower, no one can really come in and bother you. So even if it's just a 15-minute long or 20-minute long bath or shower, that is something that can really help your body and also help your mind. I think knowing that each week you'll have that little bit of time to physically relax can make a huge difference when you are starting to feel stressed out. You'll think to yourself, okay, I know I'm gonna have a bath this week that's just going to calm my nerves. And it also is that penciled in time to take care of yourself. It's not random. It's not restorative, like, oh my goodness, all these bad things happened and now I just can't imagine not taking a bath. I really need to deal with how overwhelmed I am. No, this is always going to happen. Good week, bad week, whatever it is, this time is something I devote to me and to my body. And that, I think, is a really good way to take care of yourself. Number 4 is if things do start to feel like they are going out of control, things are snowballing, you're feeling overwhelmed, take a deep breath and figure out what's causing you to spiral out of control, and how you can fix it. This is something I personally had to do a few weeks ago. When I was filming Vloggica, I honestly didn't realize how much work it was going to be. So I went in so excited, it was gonna be a great, easy break, and it was not. And I got really overwhelmed over the course of those 8 days. And at one point I was really feeling stressed and I stopped myself. I took myself out of whatever I was doing, sat down, took a really deep breath, and asked myself, what is causing this? What can I do? And what's the worst that can happen? That's a really important question because often the worst that can happen is absolutely nothing. It's really not a big deal at all, and you are just building it up in your mind. Asking myself those questions stopped me in my tracks and allowed me to collect myself before moving on with my day. I was able to realize that I was really blowing things out of proportion and that it wasn't that big of a deal. I was fine. There was nothing that important that was going on, and it was gonna be okay. And so allowing yourself to take those moments when things do start to get chaotic and just pausing and saying, okay, is how I'm feeling really warranted here? And if it is, what do I need to fix? And if it's not, then I can recognize that and re-enter the situation with a better attitude. And that is something I think that can really help take care of yourself and prevent you from hitting the end of the day and thinking, oh my gosh, everything is still out of control. I just need to stop and take care of myself. I just need to go do something. No, you've already dealt with that when it was starting to hit its peak. And now by the time you get to the end of the day, you're still okay. You're fine. You've dealt with it, and that's a good thing. The fifth and final way to take care of yourself regularly is pray. Praying to God reminds us that we're really not in control of anything. Once you recognize that God is the one in control and you're not, you won't feel so hectic and overwhelmed. A lot of taking care of yourself is really about calming your mind. And one of the most calming things that you can do is recognizing that you're not the one who is making everything happen, that you have somebody else who you can turn to in times of need. When you turn to God, then all of a sudden you realize that you have help. God is there to help you and to guide you, and you're not alone. And that is just one of the best feelings ever. It makes you feel so much more calm in the face of chaos. And of course, praying also reminds you that chaos is kind of the normal run of events for most people. It's not, the world is chaotic, right? We aren't in control, and that's okay. That's kind of part and parcel of being a person. So recognizing that God is the one in control and taking a moment to be grateful to God each night for everything He's given you and for everything you have. That is a really powerful feeling that takes care of you, takes care of your mind, takes care of your soul. And I think those are things that can prevent you from feeling that crazy, overwhelmed stuff that ends up leading to self-care. I think a lot of what self-care ends up being is this feeling of you need to numb your mind because it's racing, because you're just too stressed to think about it. So you drink alcohol or you watch dumb TV. And when you turn to God, you don't need to numb your mind. You just calm it. And that's a wonderful feeling, is that you don't feel like you need to turn it off. You're instead teaching your mind that it's okay to be stressed, but it doesn't need to be stressed. And that is so much more useful and long-lasting than just numbing it. Healing your mind and creating a better headspace for the next day, now that is something that is worth doing and actually takes care of yourself. So those are my thoughts on self-care versus taking care of yourself. I really enjoyed making this video and thinking about ways that I could incorporate into my life more ways of just regularly caring for me as opposed to doing self-care. So I'd really love to hear from you guys in the comments what you guys do to take care of yourselves. I'd love to hear. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It's really helpful when you do that, and I love to see the Classic crew grow. Please hit that notification bell. It'll let you know anytime I post a new video. You can follow me on all social media at Classically Abby, and if you'd like to donate and support my channel and get ad-free versions of these videos, you can head over to classicallyabby.locals.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.